Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where the game is paused right now. It doesn't actually need to be. As you can see, we have arrived at the base with our new module, and Bill in tow. Now, Bill had a tendency to fall off as we were moving, so I ended up moving them separately. I just drove the module back here and then teleported Bill to this area. So that's absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. At this point, what we need to do is we need to get Bill back inside. I'm not sure where he's at in terms of his life support. He's fine, but that's mostly because we teleported him out there the first go-round. On the way back, though, he was able to move back pretty quickly since he was technically in our headcanon anyway, standing on top of the module. So he was able to come back in about, it was probably about half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that on the return trip. So that was really not too bad. Okay, so let's just grab on here, and we'll have Bill board. Perfect. So Bill is now back on the base, and how are we doing on all of this? Oh, we're absolutely fine on all of that. So that looks fantastic. No issue whatsoever there. Let's hop over to the storage module, which is really kind of the workshop module, because we do have the workshop right here, and we need to get this docked up. So let's go ahead and control from here. This is going to change our controls somewhat. Oh yeah, we need to make some modifications here. That's for sure. So I think on the back, it's fine. Actually, I'm thinking about this. Yeah, we need to change these a little bit. So we need to invert these here on the back. That's for sure. So that needs to get inverted. This needs to get inverted. And is that then going to be correct? We'll see. Not exactly. This one didn't get inverted. This needs to be inverted. Okay. So now these are all going the same direction. These are the wrong direction. So we can get them going like this. But then, as I think about this, I think that these shouldn't be going this way. I want the front and the back to be going in opposite directions to steer harder, kind of like that. So that means that these back here should actually be on normal. And now we should be relatively correct on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and undo the brakes. Are we inverted in our directionality? Yes, we are, I think. Okay, so we have a bit of a power issue, and that's not surprising. Getting it here with this power issue was certainly interesting. We want to naturally be going backwards at this time. So what I'm going to do in order to fix this, the power issue here is definitely obnoxious, but what I'm going to do to fix it, I think, is I'm going to grab a Gigantor and slap that right up here to generate more power. As you can see, we just don't have a lot of electric charge stored. That definitely made getting here interesting. We had to zigzag around some hills and use momentum to our advantage, but for the time being, I think what we need to do is just grab one of these Gigantors, and we'll just plop that on there. That should solve the problem. So Bill can EVA once again, and we're just going to hop right on over eventually. If he could stop falling for 5 seconds, that'd be nice. We are probably going to grab this one, is what I'm thinking. Okay, let's turn the RCS off for now. That way we'll be able to sprint. Okay. So I would like to grab this up here. I think we're going to be best off to do this in Kerbal construction because of range. It exceeds the weight. Okay. Let's see if we can do it with the Kerbal attachment system. We can certainly detach that. Exceeds the weight that a Kerbal can construct with in this gravity. Yeah, I'm aware. I want to detach the Gigantor, which apparently we're having a hard time doing. It's not actually working. That's interesting. Huh. That is surprising to me. Not the weight issue. The weight issue is not surprising. But the fact that we apparently cannot detach this, that is surprising. That was my plan for fixing this, because we're in a position right now where we need to... I just kind of brought it down with the momentum from the hill here. We just need to bring this in like that. And for that, we do need more power. So let's see if we can detach the Gigantor here. Maybe we need to get up a little closer. That could very well be what we've got going on here. There we go. Let's get up on top of this. It's not telling us that it's out of range, but it's also not telling us these are out of range. So I suspect that it is, in fact, out of range. Let's make our way over to here and just park right on this little lip here. Yeah, there we go. Now the Gigantor is falling down, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. And we're going to fall on down here, and we should be able to move it over with Kerbal Attachment. Although it's going to be mildly tedious, we don't need to get it very far. We could just move it this way, I suppose. Just push it. Would that actually be faster? I don't know. We can grab it. So we could just grab it, place it here, and then just move it like this. Okay, let's turn that RCS off so that we can sprint. And let's see if maybe we are better off pushing it. Honestly, yeah, I think this is a little faster. So that sounds good. The question is, where are we going to attach it? Well, we're going to need to put this back where we got it eventually. We don't want to attach it, or rather, we don't want to detach the sky crane while we have this. Oh, we overshot this. Let's just move it right in front of us again. And we'll just push it a little bit further. Fantastic. So something about like that. Now, we're going to need to attach this thing, and I'm actually just going to put it in over here, I think. It'll be a little bit easier to reach, and that's obviously too far away. We're going to need to get closer than this. So if we position ourselves about here, this should be fine right here. We can just harvest it on off of there eventually, and we'll extend out this Gigantor, and that should be enough power flow to properly power these motors. But there were definitely issues. I had to power and depower some of the motors too as we were working on this. It was slightly obnoxious, to be sure. So this is... What is happening here? I think the solar panel is not actually attached to the module here. Yeah, that's the case. I think it's just sitting here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what we've got going on. So we want to grab the Gigantor, and I want to actually attach it. That would be a useful thing to do. It doesn't have to be centered. This is fine. We just want it to actually be attached. Okay, so here we have the storage module, and now... Well, we're still draining the electric charge, but it's definitely better. There's no doubt about that. Okay, I think we have some directionality issues. Let's go ahead and control from here, which will allow us to move up over this way, and then I'm going to pin this guy open for our turning. And then pin this open for our acceleration. This is really awkward, but it'll work. So we want to control from here. I'm pretty sure our wheels are going to be pretty off if we try to do turning from here. Yeah, they definitely are. So we need to build up a little bit of acceleration here, and then we need to switch our control point and coast. And then do our turning. Our electric charge is actually going up right now, which is kind of wild. Other direction. Other way. Well, that was awkward. So, we clearly have some directionality issues with our motors from here. Hang on, we can just do this. And we can kind of turn on our pivot point a little bit. So we want to overshoot this at this juncture and be going like this way for right now. Now you can see our electric charge is struggling a little bit. That's not terribly surprising. Okay. Now the question is, if we were to go this way, I think we're accelerating the wrong direction. Yeah, we really, really need to be on this as our control point in order to accelerate. This is really awkward now. We need to be controlling from here for the actual docking process. So, this is definitely exciting. So I'm just accelerating us forward. And pivoting. Okay, that's pretty close right there. So we'll control from here. We'll accelerate forward a little bit more. I'm a little concerned about this photovoltaic panel. Okay, control from here. We're a little too high, so that's noted. Let's drop this down. I had this up at maximum height just to get us clearance down here. So we definitely need to drop down our front. I'm going to drop this down to about 0.4. And I'm going to drop this also down to about 0.4. We'll see how that's doing for height. That's maybe a little low. Okay, so I think we should maybe target about 0.5. Let's see how that feels. Even that's a little on the low side, isn't it? 0.6. And then we'll need to move this one as well. We can see we're starting to Kraken over here a little bit. Okay, I would want to drop this guy down to like 0.7 to hopefully take some of that strain off. But yeah, we definitely have some issues here. No doubt about that. Let's have this at 0.7, and then that's pretty close. Okay, so let's control from here, accelerate forward a little bit. Ooh, hang on. Accelerate forward a little bit, and control from here. How are we doing on the docking? Well, we're slightly off, but not very much. Hang on, I think docking forces are pulling us in, maybe. We're definitely getting closer. It's a little hard to see behind this, but yeah. We're definitely getting closer. Hang on, I'm going to try to turn us a little bit because we're at slightly a wrong angle. Okay. I'm not doing anything right now, and I'm going to turn the brakes off. Yeah, we definitely have docking forces here. Awkward time to autosave. Hang on, we need to go this direction. There we go. That should dock. Okay. Now we immediately start Krakening, and that is unsurprising. We need to drop these target extensions as quick as we can if we can select these. Okay, this is awkwardly behind our flight engineer. Get out of here. There we go. Okay. Now we need to get this one retracted. Now this one. This one is refusing to retract, it seems. We've had that issue in the past. That's the only one that's not retracting. Okay. Please actually retract. That would be nice. But we're going to need to hop over to Bill. And Bill, I need you to sprint. Go, go, go. We got to take care of this. And this is bugged. We just need to remove it. So in we go. We're going to be detaching this as soon as we can. Okay. There. Problem solved. It's flying off into the wild blue yonder, but that is fine. So that's eliminated. That is not an issue. Now we can untrack that. That's not a big deal. This is now in position, and that's absolutely great. You can see here that it's definitely sitting a bit low. It wants to sit a little higher than this. Really what we need is we need to have one of these joints right here. But we don't have one at this moment. So this is fine. We can fabricate one eventually, but what we need to do next is we need to bring in our rocket pad. That's the only real thing that we need to bring in from Kerbal at this point is the rocket pad, and if we do that, then we'll be able to fabricate our own things. As of right now, if we were to start working on a project, it should tell us that we don't have any valid place to spawn it. Which is accurate. That is absolutely accurate. We do not have a pad here. So we want to put one down, but it's going to need to be deployable, right? We can move this as well. We should maybe consider doing that, although I don't think it really matters all that much right now. For the moment, we can extend this solar panel. We could get rid of this sky crane, but it does give us a little bit more solar power. So for the moment, it's not really causing us any problems. We can keep it around for right now. So that seems good. We're now docked up over here. We only had one of these bug. That was nice. And overall, at this point, I think we are... What is going on over here? I don't know why these are up here, but whatever. There's definitely some Krakening happening. So I'm going to quick save here. And now we want to start thinking about our rocket pad. So we're going to want a Kerbal attachment for it, for sure. So we're going to need the Kerbal attachment connectors. And those will have to be attached externally. That's okay. And we're going to need a way to move this thing around and deploy it, right? So we need to go into the VAB. And this is going to be basically a new design, but I want to take a quick look at what our current what our current base design is. We've changed around a bit where things are docked up, and that's fine. But I want to hop into the Duna colony here. It has no problems. I don't know why the game thinks that this has problems. It doesn't, but whatever. So at this point, the only thing that we don't have here right now, and these have changed their position a little bit, the only thing that we don't have right now is this habitation module. Everything else we've got. So that's all absolutely wonderful. And what we need right now is our rocket. We can actually fabricate the habitation module. That's not a problem. But we need the rocket pad. So that basically means that we need to bring in something like this. So when we open it up, it looks like that, right? And when we close it, it looks like that. Attachment points are kind of spicy. And I'm wondering, once it's open, where does this attachment point go? Just on the bottom? Yeah, that's just on the ground. Okay. So I'm thinking about how we want to design this. Now, this has got its own kind of quasi-sky crane component to it, right? And that's absolutely fine. I wouldn't want to bring Valentina and Bob on this. I'd want this to be, I think, unmanned. But in these inventories, I would like to have the Kerbal attachment portions. So that goes in here. That would be... I believe we determined the resource transfer station works just fine, and then we needed a joint socket. Oh, right. I have to do this differently. We have to click and drag to place this. Okay, that works just fine. So we can have a resource transfer station and a joint socket there. And then in seat 1, we can do the same thing just in case we need a spare. So that seems absolutely fine. because this has a cable that will connect it to this. So that all looks good. So that's the parts that we need to deliver here. But now we need to think about how to deliver it, right? So this does have a Skycrane component to it already. It's got the engines here. It's got the liquid fuel, the monoprop. If we take a look at this over Duna at 0 kilometers, this has got a thrust to weight of 6.99. So that's not a significant problem. This is able to land itself. But we are going to need a few things. The first thing that we're going to need is the ability to move it where we want before it gets opened, right? So this is what it's going to look like when it's opened, but we need to be able to place it where we want to place it. For that to happen, I'm currently thinking about how we might want to do this. If we had like a detachable rover down here, this would end up being very, very top heavy. So what I'm thinking right now is we may need to have a hinge on this. Now, I'm not sure if a hinge is going to be capable of holding the amount of mass that it needs. So this is going to need to be a like very large hinge, most likely. This is, I think, the largest hinge here. And let's have that angle be at 0 for now. And let's rotate that to go like this. Okay. So when we're on the ground, it would be like this. But when we're coming in, it would be like this. Except I want to change the root part here, I think. Because I want this to actually rotate. So down here, I'm going to put in a... Okay, I'm going to put in a remote guidance unit here, I think. So that'll be something like this guy. And let's reroute this. There we go. So now if we rotate the hinge, yes, we can store it like this. And we can come in this orientation if we want to. This would be better for driving. But the actual landing, this would not be ideal. Now, we're going to have some potential issues with struts here. I don't know how effective this hinge is going to be under thrust situations. That's a distinct question that we need the answer to that. But my main concern at this point, as we're driving, if it's in this orientation, that's going to be a very high center of gravity, right? Actually, it's not that high. But if we did this and had it like hanging off of the back, and then we had like a docking port out over here that we could eject. So that would be something kind of like this and this. And then we'd remove the docking port, right? And this would go in something kind of like that. Now, this is going to be a very bendy joint here. That's something that we will address. This is going to require quite a bespoke delivery system, and this is not going to be finished this episode. That's for sure. We'll be lucky to get this finished next episode. But if we can deliver it like this, then we eject it here. The center of gravity is not actually that big of a concern. So if we deliver landing like this, and we have a rover here, we'll definitely want to have some battery on this. So we'd want to have like a 2.5K battery pack. We probably don't need more than that. Then we'd want to have some sort of a rover system down here, and I'd like that to be relatively large. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in a modular girder hub here, like this. And then I'm going to put in some modular girder segments out this direction and this direction. And we're going to rotate it and this direction and this direction, like this. Then I'm going to do another one here and another one here. And then we're going to do one here and one here, like that. Now we can have some parachutes out here. I don't think we need much for chutes, to be honest. We'll test that later on, but for now, all I'm going to put in is I'm going to put in a couple of drogue chutes out on these sides and then main chutes on the interior. I don't really think we need all that much here. So main chute, and actually I want to adjust these. And I moved that. So the minimum pressure should be as low as possible, the altitude as high as possible. So we're just going to put that there. We're going to put this here. We're going to put this here. Then I'm going to do drogue chutes. And this is probably, assuming it were delivered, this is probably landable as is. So minimum pressure, maximum altitude for the drogues as well. And I'm just going to do something kind of like this. We don't need engines on this. We don't need fuel on this. This is all taken care of in the pad itself. The actual amount of DV on this is over 1,000, so this is plenty. The chutes themselves may not slow this all that much, and we may want to move these chutes out and away, but for now, that's what we're looking at. Then, what I want to do is I want to actually put in another pair of modular girder hubs here. So this is going to be something like this. There we go. And then we're going to get more modular girders in over here. I'm going to do one here, one here, one here, one here, and then duplicate this. That's going to go here, and it's going to go here. We want this to be fairly widespread, and that should be fine. Now, as far as the ground goes, I'm going to save this as our landing pad. And we're going to need solar panels on this for sure. But I want to hop over to the R&D, and I want to see about getting ourselves some better wheels. Our wheels have been a problem for a while now. But this is going to require significant testing, and we'll do probably a straight down drop test and see how that landing goes. I think it's going to be doable. I think that this landing is not going to be a significant issue. So this is going to give us Rove Maxes. Let's go ahead and grab that. We can also grab advanced motors, and sure, we'll take that. So that seems fine. We'll hop back into the VAB, and I want to get the wheels on here, and we'll run some very basic tests on this next episode. We're definitely going to need to see some power tests, and, well, some power answers is what we're going to need. And we're also going to need some stability tests. We're going to need some drop tests. There's a lot of testing that's going to have to go into this. So we've got these ruggedized vehicular wheels. They're a little on the high side. I think we're going to go with some of these Rove Maxes. That's not a lot of vertical room there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this guy, and we're just going to slap him in right here. And right here, and right on over here, and right on over here. That gives us more vertical clearance here, and we're just going to put the Rove Max model M1 right there, and then we'll do another one over here. We're definitely going to need to modify some of the directionalities here. I'm also thinking that I'm going to just duplicate this and put it in here. We'll go to 6 wheels. I was originally thinking 4, but 6 wheels should be relatively fine. So something along the lines of this, and then when we deliver it, we would set this angle to be back over here, right? And it would just set like this, and then we'd detach it and drive out, and in theory, it would just slide off. Would be how we'd want to deliver that. And hopefully it wouldn't explode. Hopefully. Well, actually it definitely wouldn't, because we'd be at the base at that point, and that would mean unbreakable joints and no crash damage would be on. But we'll run a test first away from that just to make sure it would theoretically be possible, because I wouldn't want to have this explode in normal situations and then only work because we cheated it to work. That wouldn't be great. We can put more parachutes here if we feel like it's necessary. For now, I don't, but this is the basic structure of what we have here. It's not pretty, that's for sure, but it may get the job done. Testing will be required. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge SQL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.